Most average people never had financial lessons. I mean, there was no lesson in school that was teaching us, oh, this is how you would manage and plan your finances. There was no family training or discipline on how to manage finances. Most disciplinary actions from our family was just about our morals, our etiquette, our values, but very few families actually take the time to teach their children, okay, this is how you manage finances because you're going to need it in real life. And apart from trust fund babies and nepos, most of us are still figuring our financial lives out. And we are mostly doing this quietly, anxiously, and alone. Checking our bank accounts with one eye closed, avoiding the questions in relationships, saying, oh, I'm fine when someone asks about finances when really we are struggling behind the scenes. Today, we are talking about money, not in the way that makes you feel bad about where you are, and not in a way that suggests any form of financial advice. If you need financial advice, I'll suggest you take it up with the expert. Welcome back to Real Talk Adulthood, podcast where we have real and honest conversations nobody had with us while we were growing up. I'm Penny. You're welcome to season 2. In season 1, we covered 6 episodes where we talked about 6 different topics. We spoke about how nobody prepared us for adulthood. We spoke about our spiritual life, our physical life, our mental health, our emotional life, emotional intelligence, and trying to attain balance. If you missed season 1, you can go back to the podcast playlist and check it out, and I'll tag it right in this video so it can be easy for you to find. If you're back, welcome home. Season 2 is getting more deeper and having more real conversations so many of us have silently been struggling with. And we are kicking it off with the topic that quietly stresses almost every adult that I know: money. Let me say something that might make you feel less alone. Most adults, apart from nepo babies and trust fund babies, carry a level of financial anxiety no matter how much they earn. The person who looks like they have it all together financially also has their own money stress. It just looks different for everybody. It looks different for every individual, and here's why: most of us were never taught. Think about it. We spent years in school learning algebra, literature, home economics, history, but not one class on financial management. Not one lesson on how much debt actually costs you. Nobody really explained interest rates, savings, investments, or why you actually need them in the real world, or why the way you think about money matters just as much as how much of it you have. We entered adulthood mostly financially illiterate, and then we felt ashamed when we made mistakes, when we overspent, when we didn't handle money properly, when we borrowed and we couldn't pay back, when we couldn't save. When it got to the end of the month and we're wondering, where did all the money go? Here's what I want you to hear. That shame is not yours to carry because you were not taught, and you are not expected to master something that you were never taught. What you can do is starting today to learn, because it's never too late to get our financial lives together. So why is money uniquely stressful for us as adults? There are 3 big reasons I'll be sharing in today's episode. Number 1, money is tied to our worth. We live in a world that constantly sends a message that your value as a person is connected to what you earn. So that urge, that pressure to live up to expectations, to live up to a worth around people, for people to see you as something rather than nothing. Because to be honest, someone who has no money is regarded as a nobody, as a nothing in the real world today. And so when we struggle financially, it doesn't just feel like a personal problem, it feels like failure. And the emotional weight that comes with all of it makes it hard to look at our finances and just make clear, good decisions. Because it's really hard to think straight when you are drowning in shame, when there's competition all over you, when there's so much pressure around you. The second reason is most of us were genuinely not given a framework. When I was growing up, I was only taught values: how to be a good person, how to be a responsible person, in a society. In the schools I attended, none of them offered lessons on how to manage finances, how to save, how to invest. Never got any of those lessons. Everything most of us learned are from our own mistakes or by watching adults who were also learning from their own mistakes. So navigating around all these things can be really hard. I personally do not have my financial life really figured out. I've had to learn from so many lessons. I've had to learn over and over and over. I've gone from having much to nothing so many times because honestly, I'm just struggling to navigate it on my own. I just became an adult and figured out suddenly when you become an adult, when you get to a certain level of responsibility, all your finances are totally up to you to manage, and how you turn out financially is totally up to you. So I'm literally learning how to manage, how to earn, how to recycle, and still thinking about how not to go broke while trying to survive. And really, most of us are really going through this cycle. And it can be really hard when we're not really given a framework. We're just starting to learn when we've become adults. Look at it this way: values have been built into us are more easy for us to practice in the society because values are things that have been put in us when we were kids, when we were younger. We're taught, okay, don't steal, don't do this, don't do that. So we grew up subconsciously practicing those things. If only we were given financial lessons as early. Oh, when you have money, don't do this, don't do that, learn to save. You subconsciously grow with it into adulthood, and there's no guarantee that it's going to be easy, but at least you have something to work with. The third reason money is a big problem for most adults is that the cost of living is really hard. This is something I needed to say out loud because, to be honest, it's beyond anybody's control. Tomorrow you wake up and the fuel prices are high. Nothing you can do about it. Prices of food is high, prices of surviving is high, prices of everything is high. So we are basically trying to survive, trying to make a living, and then some people are literally trying to get rich amidst all this chaos. And to be honest, handling, managing, and juggling all of that can be really stressful. So what do we actually do? We all need money. We all need money to live in the real world. Even if you don't want to get wealthy, even if that's not your goal for your life, you need to survive. At least you need to eat. You need to pay your bills. You need to transport yourself. And once in a while, you should get yourself one thing or another. Here are friendly tips I'll be sharing for survival when it comes to finances as an adult. The first thing is know your numbers. Now, this sounds simple, but this is the most practical thing and the most practical place you can start from. Know your numbers. How much do you earn and how much do you spend? How much does it cost you to survive as a person? This is going to help you discipline yourself financially because everybody's financial requirements or discipline is different because we do not all earn the same amount. Being honest with yourself about your numbers can help you so that you can know where to start from. Okay, this is the amount I'm earning. This is how much I spend on my gas, on my feeding, on my transportation. So how can I afford to save amidst all this? How can I afford a saving plan? How can I afford a survival plan with how much comes into my account? I really believe this is an honest place to start from because sometimes you may listen to ambiguous advices online about finances, but let's be realistic. Before you get multiple streams of incomes, if you're struggling with just a single stream of income, you have to be real with yourself about your numbers so it can discipline you to live within or below your means to enable you survive and try to save up something just in case. The second thing is we need to learn how to separate our needs from our wants. Not in a way that feels like punishment, not in a way that deprives us from all the joys and extra activities of life, but in a way that helps us to be honest with ourselves and really helps us to practically manage the money that we earn. For instance, you need to eat, you need to pay your bills, you need to get your medication if you are ill, you need to wear clothes, but you don't necessarily need to eat 5-star meal if you cannot afford it. If you can afford it, why not? That doesn't mean once in a while you shouldn't create room to eat 5-star meal. That's where planning comes in, and that's a totally different topic to talk about. To be honest, some of the things that get the best or get the most of our finances are not even clearly needs, they are wants. And it's understandable because sometimes we are spending needs on wants because we want to fit into society. We want society to see us as people that are among, as people that are getting it. We want to live up to certain expectations, and that can really lead us to spending our money on the wrong things. Getting clear on the difference between your need and your wants gives you clear choices, and choices gives you power over your finances. The third thing is start saving, no matter how small it is you earn. Because to be honest, I can totally relate to the feeling of I don't earn enough to save. Now, this is something I've learned over the years. Saving is not really about the amount you earn or about the amount you're putting into your savings account, but it's about building the habit to save. Even if it's just as little as 200 naira, it's just cultivating a habit, telling your subconscious mind that when you get your finances or when money comes into your account, there's something called savings. It doesn't matter how much you apportion, but it helps you build the habit so that when the bigger numbers come, it's a habit that you've already cultivated and it's not going to be hard for you to keep up with. And the fourth is change the conversation about money. Even if you are struggling, talk about it. Talk about it with people you trust. Find the community, find the podcast, talk about it with people who are ahead of you, who are doing better, who have it together financially. And there might be a lot you could learn from. I know sometimes it's very difficult to be vulnerable, especially about your financial position in life because so many people can use it to look down on you. So many people just want to know that you are not doing better than them, and that could be really hard. For me, I had to learn to start talking about it. I don't just go around talking to just anybody about my financial life. Oh, this is where I am financially. This is what I'm struggling with. So I observe there are certain people that I have come across, and oh, this person seems to have their financial life figured out. And I have had few conversations with few people. Oh, you seem to have your finances figured out. You seem to have everything going to some certain level. How do you do it? And I've gotten real practical advice that are beginning to help me today. I'm not where I want to be financially, but I'm grateful to God that at least I am surviving. And to some extent, at least I can pay my bills, and that's a lot to be grateful for. And that's a position to start from because I feel like my mind is clearer to think when I am not in debt and when I don't have so many financial pressures hanging because it can be really hard to clearly think about a way forward for your finances when you're juggling between debts, you're juggling between finances, you're juggling between a source of income. So trying to talk about it can help you out. Financial literacy is a community project. We learn better together. I think I've made this point a lot in the course of this episode that finances as an adult is something that you need to be honest about. Like, I think you need to get your groundwork together before you start figuring how to do more. I'm obviously not here to tell you how to make billions, how to make money, or how to do any of that because honestly, I also do not have that knowledge at the moment. But I feel like if you have your groundwork together, it's easier for you to figure out a way forward because most of us are still struggling how to manage the little income that comes into our account. If you cannot manage what comes in as little as it is, there's no guarantee that you'll be able to manage a larger amount. There's a verse in the Bible that says, to whom much is given, much is expected. You cannot have good financial knowledge on how to manage the little you have. There are greater or high chances that you're going to blow it up when you start having the big figures. So today's episode is just mainly about drawing our attention to pay attention to the little numbers and think about ways that we can find balance, we can find sustenance, we can start with survival. Because as an adult, you really need to survive financially before you think about getting the big numbers or getting things to work out. And here's something I just want to casually say: your financial life is not a verdict about your worth or on your worth as a person. It is a skill set. I know this is hard to sink in and it might probably not go anywhere, but I feel like having that mindset as a person can help to ease the pressure you are feeling. And the good part about finances is that it can be learned, it can be improved. If you get better financial training, it can go a long way, because where I was 2 years ago is not where I am today on my financial journey, and that is growth, that is progress, that is improvement. And having this conversation about finances means you have improved. This is like taking your first step. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Real Talk Adulthood. If this episode hits home for you, don't forget to like it. Don't forget to share a comment. I would really love to know how you feel about your financial life as an adult, what you've been doing to help you so it can also help me. And just share anything you feel you want me or any other viewer to learn on this podcast. And don't forget to share it so other people could get to watch it as well. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the notification so you'll be notified every time a new episode drops. Next week on episode 8, we'll be talking about something a lot of us grieve as adults but barely talk about: friendships. Why is it so hard to make and maintain friendships as an adult? What happened to all the people that used to be in your life? Like, where did they all go to? And how to build a community when everybody is obviously busy with their own lives, trying to figure things out, trying to survive, trying to build, trying to carry on important things. That's next week, and it's going to be a good one. You don't want to miss it. Till then, be kind to yourself about where you are financially. You are learning, you are figuring it out, and hopefully one day you're going to be where you want to be.